Pitti is a very large Renaissance palace located in Florence, Italy. This tower was built in 1173 after the cathedral, and for more than 850 years it has become a symbol of the attractive country of Italy. With a closer look at these houses, you can see how hard the residents have taken to build such houses by digging stones. The volcano erupted, and in just a few minutes, the city and all its people were buried under the volcanic ash, and no one even had a chance to find an escape route. He banned gladiators because of a monk named Telemachus. Telemachus is the only Colosseum martyr who has evidence of his death. This angel statue is in honor of the legend from which the name of the castle is derived. Pitti Palace. The Pitti Palace, or Palazzo Pitti in Florence, Italy, and its beautiful gardens known as the Boboli Gardens, were built by the Pitti family in the 15th century. Today, this palace is considered one of the largest art galleries in Florence. Pitti is a very large Renaissance palace located in Florence, Italy. The Pitti Palace of Florence is located in the southern part of the Arno River and at a very short distance from Ponte Vecchio. The center of this palace was once the residence of an ambitious Florentine banker named Luca Pitti. This palace was built in the 15th century by the Pitti family, and the gardens, it is so beautiful that it is known as the Boboli Gardens. Nowadays, tourists and European tourists visit this palace in Florence as the largest museum complex and the largest art galleries. The Pitti Palace of Florence was built in 1458 by a Florentine banker named Luca Pitti and was purchased by the Medici family in 1549. After that, this palace became the main residence of the ruling families in the Grand Duchy of Tuscany. Pitti Florence was used as a treasury where paintings, jewels, luxury goods, etc. were kept. At the end of the 18th century, it was also used as the main base of Napoleon Bonaparte, and later as one of the royal palaces. Today, this palace could have become a big museum that attracts tourists from Europe. Pitti Palace was transferred to the Italian crown in 1860 and by Victor Emmanuel II in 1871-1865 when Florence was the capital of Italy. And in 1919 it was donated to the Italian government by Victor Emmanuel III along with the square. Tourists and Italian tourists will see important collections of paintings and sculptures and a gallery of local clothes, works of art, etc. The Pitti Palace, along with the Boboli Gardens in Florence, includes several important museums including the Palatine Gallery, the Silver Gallery, the Modern Art Gallery, the Costume Gallery, etc. Palazzo Pitti was built in the second half of the 15th century and includes several museums. This palace is located near the Ponte Vecchio bridge in Florence. It was once the residence of the Tuscan royal family, and at the time of its construction, it was the largest and most luxurious residential building. In Florence, of course, the Pitti Palace is still considered one of the great and impressive buildings of this city. And you can also visit the spectacular garden behind it, the Boboli Gardens, both of which are among the famous museums of Florence. The architecture of the Pitti Palace was designed by Filippo Brunelleschi and its construction by Luca Fancelli, and it is said that this palace was first built by the banker Luca Pitti, who was considered a close friend of the Italian Medici family. He visited this beautiful and amazing palace. Comment your opinion. Tower of Pisa. The Leaning Tower of Pisa is built in the soft ashes that it has underneath. These ashes are made up of layers of soil and sand. Because of the softness of these layers, the Leaning Tower of Pisa has become like this. Pisa is a historical city in Italy, which is considered one of the most important cities in Europe due to its location. The main reason for Pisa's fame is the existence of the Leaning Tower of Pisa. In addition, various museums, palaces, and churches have added to the fame of this city. The main attraction of the city of Pisa in Italy is the Square of Miracles, where the amazing Leaning Tower of Pisa is located. The Leaning Tower of Pisa is one of the most prominent architectural monuments in Europe and related to the Middle Ages, which was never used to defend the city. This tower acts as the bell tower of the Miracle Square religious complex and has 7 bells, each of which is a symbol of a musical note. These bells played an important role in time measurement. The Leaning Tower of Pisa is known all over the world for its beautiful architecture and the different angle it has with the ground, and for this reason it has become one of the most visited places, although climbing the stairs of the Leaning Tower of Pisa may seem a bit difficult. Climbing to the top of it is considered a unique experience, and it shows a very beautiful view of the city. The Leaning Tower of Pisa is located in the city of Pisa, Italy, one of the most visited European cities. This city is located in the Tuscany region, a region in the west of Italy. This tower was built next to the Cathedral of Pisa in the Miracle Square. The Tower of Pisa is the last building built in the historical complex of the Miracle Square, which has enriched this square. The history of the city of Pisa played an important role in the history of Italy. The name of Pisa in 600 BC is derived from a Greek word meaning a swampy land. The city of Pisa was a simple but important seaport at the beginning, and it became a vital port and center. The main business has been mentioned that many people have visited it. Pisa was a popular resting place for European pilgrims who were on their way to Jerusalem. As their wealth and influence increased, the city of Pisa became more powerful. With its growth, its religious buildings also increased. Its fame and power gradually increased over the years as the people of Pisa were involved in various military disputes and trade agreements. In 1063, they attacked the city of Palermo on the island of Sicily. This attack was successful, and the conquerors returned to Pisa with a lot of treasure. To show the importance of the city in the world, the people of Pisa decided to build a cathedral complex called the Square of Miracles. This plan included the Cathedral of Pisa, the Baptistry of Pisa, the Bell Tower, Pisa Tower, and the cemetery. The Leaning Tower of Pisa is undoubtedly one of the most famous towers in the world, which is famous for its tilting. This tower was built in 1173 after the cathedral, and for more than 850 years it has become a symbol of the attractive country of Italy, and hundreds of people wait for hours to see it. The exact and complete cause of the tilt of this tower is a subject that has been discussed and studied by many researchers and engineers until today. The Tower of Pisa is actually built on a series of old lands and layers of different soil. Due to the instability of these soil layers as well as the high density and weight of the tower, this tower began to bend and tilt over time. Heavy limestones are made, which reduces the ability to bear weight. In addition to this, weather changes such as wind and rain have also been effective. Over time, engineers have taken measures to strengthen the tower to prevent the risk of the tower falling. In recent decades, the tower has been repaired and strengthened using advanced technologies and precise engineering. It has taken to preserve this work of historical and cultural value, so the leaning of the Leaning Tower of Pisa is due to several factors, including the instability of the soil, the weight of the tower, and atmospheric changes, which has made this tower a symbol of the city of Pisa and Italy. Please visit this famous and beautiful tower and comment your opinion. Matera. Matera is a small town where the sun doesn't like to set and reflects on its stone walls to give light to travelers. The cave of Sassi di Matera is located in Basilicata, Italy. Many believe that this cave is one of the oldest inhabited caves in the world. This cave goes back to the Stone Age, and many know it for 9,000 years ago, which was one of the first settlements of mankind, which can still be inhabited today. At first glance, these caves look like chaotic stone huts placed next to each other, but there are many stories behind these houses and their scenery. Until the 20th century, people lived on these stone houses and used the flowing water of the surrounding river, but the lack of energy, such as electricity and facilities, such as shops in this area, caused the residents to leave their homes over time. The absence of a doctor and the existence of various diseases that threatened the people of this area was another reason for its evacuation after the Second World War. These houses were completely deserted. Sassi di Matera was added to the UNESCO Cultural Heritage List in 1993 and caused many tourists to flock to this area to see these old stone houses. Currently, many of them have become a residence or restaurant. With a closer look at these houses, you can see how hard the residents have taken to build such houses by digging stones. The construction of rooms created by carving stones takes years. The city of Matera is located in the south of Italy. When you go to see this cave city, it is as if you have entered a new world. You will see stone houses that have created a different atmosphere. It is interesting that from the beginning until the 1950s, there were always some people living in these caves in the passage of time. It did not cause these rock caves to become an abandoned neighborhood. The first inhabitants of Matera settled in the natural caves of this area, the caves that formed the rocky landscapes of this area. But the increase in population caused people to start digging in the mountains to build new houses. If you look at some of the first houses here, you will think that they are stone huts, but behind their house-like appearance, simple caves are hidden. Time passed, and the big and bigger city and all the rocks turned into cave houses, and a place was formed full of narrow alleys and stone staircases. Until the end of the 20th century, Matera was one of the poorest areas in Italy, and in it, facilities such as electricity, drinking water and sewage system were not available. People were facing problems to find the basic needs of their lives because there were no shops in the village, and the diet only consisted of bread, oil, potatoes and pepper. Large families lived with quadrupeds, and in such an unsanitary situation, diseases such as malaria were very common. After the Second World War, the new government tried to move the inhabitants of these caves to modern residential areas, but many of them did not want to do this. And finally, the government forcibly moved them to the city that was located on top of the rock. Matera's fate changed when UNESCO declared those caves as world and brought a wave of curious tourists there. Since then, many caves in danger of destruction have been restored and turned into comfortable houses and modern hotels and restaurants. Take the time to visit this amazing small town, and please comment your opinion after seeing this amazing place. Pompeii. In a world of mysteries and strange events that have sunk in Pompeii, what was the fury of the volcano that embraced and destroyed the entire city? An attractive place called the brilliant Pompeii, in the powerful heart of the Roman Empire, in the heart of the first city that was built on land among volcanoes. And to the bad luck of the people of that time, due to the Vesuvius volcano in 79 AD, this city was completely covered in dust and ashes. The Italian city of Pompeii, known as the Burnt City, is one of the amazing sights of Italy. Pompeii was a city that, according to archaeologists, was founded by the Usks in the 6th and 7th centuries AD near present-day Naples in southern Italy. And in the 4th century BC, it became part of the Roman territory after the defeat of the Usks. The historical city of Pompeii was once destroyed by an earthquake in 62 AD. But it was rebuilt until 79 AD, when the volcanic eruption of Mount Vesuvius buried the city forever. It was a prelude for this historical city to be pushed out from beneath the thick layers of ash after many years. The gathering place of hot springs, many houses and some villas of this historical city came out completely and intact from the excavations, and this caused archaeologists to call Pompeii the only ancient city whose topographical map is intact. It is safe to announce. The Temple of Venus, the guardian goddess of the city, is one of these sites which, of course, was destroyed by the earthquake and volcano. The Temple of Apollo is located in the historical city of Pompeii and in the west of the Forum Square of this city. On both sides of the temple, there are statues of Apollo and Diana. Of course, the main statues are placed in the Archaeological Museum of Naples after being discovered and examined. Temple of Jupiter, which dates back to the 2nd century AD and is dedicated to the worship of Jupiter and Minerva, and marble is used in this temple. The basilica is one of the most important public buildings in Pompeii and one of the tourist places. The city of Pompeii is a historical city that is considered a UNESCO World Heritage Site, which is one of the most important attractions in Italy, with more than 2.5 million visitors per year. The bustling city of Pompeii was located in the shadow of Mount Vesuvius. On August 9th or 2479 CE, the volcano erupted, and in just a few minutes, the city and all its people were buried under the volcanic ash. And no one even had a chance to find an escape route. 4 to 6 meters of ash and volcanic stones were buried. The temperature produced by the volcano was 704 degrees Celsius, and its people died before being buried under the ash due to the heat and breathing toxic gases. Some believe that poisonous gases caused the death of people, and some believe that the high temperature killed people, and some believe that the entry of molten materials into the city is the cause of people's deaths. In 1748, the Spanish engineer Rocco Joaquim de Alcubierre managed to discover this place, which was preserved intact among the dust and small stones. In 1863, the Italian archaeologist Giuseppe Fiorelli took responsibility for the volcanic operation of this place and started regular and detailed excavations. In 2015, archaeologists began to use CT scan machines to analyze and examine the bodies of the dead in detail. It doesn't seem so real. In the past, if a child grew up in this city and reached the age of 10 years, something strange and unexpected happened. They lost themselves and never reached adulthood. And archaeologists had found interesting facts. They identified some of the most deadly causes of death for children in the city, among which syphilis was one of the most important causes of death at a young age. What you are currently seeing from Pompeii and its nearby ancient sites called Herculaneum is the best example of Roman cities and the lifestyle of these people in the past. You can clearly see why Pompeii is considered the most popular tourist attraction in Italy. In Pompeii, Menander's big house belonged to a rich merchant whose statue attracts the viewer's attention next to the entrance of the house. There are columns with Corinthian capitals on both sides of this statue. The great amphitheater of Pompeii on the other side of the city is the oldest Roman amphitheater that dates back to the 80th century BC. There is a stadium near it. A row of columns surrounds the stadium on 3 sides, and a swimming pool is in the middle of it. As taken a little further outside the city, a cemetery can be seen, which is located outside the city like other Roman cemeteries. Among the other best attractions of this historical city, we can mention the Villa of Asra. This amazing Villa of Asra is located outside the main excavated area and above the Villa of Diomedes. This villa was built in the 2nd century BC, and the beautiful paintings on its walls have decorated. The most prominent painting of this villa is the 17-meter-long ornamental border in the great dining room. This border is so large that the characters are depicted in almost life-size. It is believed that this villa was a meeting place for members of the cult of Dionysus. And the paintings on the outside wall show this sect performing religious ceremonies. If you travel to Pompeii, you will definitely be shocked to see its ruins and comment your opinion about this historical place. Colosseum. The Colosseum is a large multi-story theatre for gladiator fights, as well as some executions, such as the release of wild animals. The plan of this complex is in the form of an oval with diameters of 188 meters and 156 meters, and the foundation is 6 acres. Its height is about 48 meters. The floor of the screen is wooden, and under it there is a set of rooms and passageways for the passage of wild animals and other necessary preparations for setting up and performing the show. 80 walls as support for dome-shaped arches, passageways, and stairs. And the rows of seats are placed on the stage. The outer edge of successive arches connects the different floors and the stairs between them. The interior view of the Colosseum from above has 3 rows of dome-shaped arches facing each other on the columns and capitals. In the columns of the first floor, the Doric architectural style, in the second floor, the Ionic style, and in the third floor, the Corinthian style, which was close to the classical Greek style. This building is used because of the easy passage of people in and out of the square. It is one of the masterpieces of engineering. On top of these 3 main floors, there is an attic with rectangular Corinthian columns. The space between the columns has 40 small rectangular windows. The figure is filled. In the upper part, there are wall studs and brackets that hold the poles on which the shades are hung. Undoubtedly, the Colosseum in the city of Rome, whose construction dates back to the 1st century AD, is considered a turning point in the history of the Roman Empire in Italy in terms of architecture. With a capacity of 45,000 seats, the Colosseum is considered the largest amphitheater in the ancient world. In the not-so-distant times, the Colosseum hosted gladiatorial wars, battles with wild animals, and was a place for the execution of early Christians. It is not without reason that today it is considered the most terrifying place. It is known as the Middle Ages. The huge amphitheater of the Colosseum was built on the site of an artificial lake. This lake, along with the Golden House or Domus Aurea and the Colosseum statue near it, was part of Nero's Great Promenade in the center of Rome. The existence of this lake was used many times to build the foundation of the building. The Colosseum consisted of 4 floors, the upper floor of which included seats for women and the lower classes of society. The lowest floor belonged to the prominent Roman city of Vendon, and underground there were rooms with mechanical devices and cages for keeping animals. There were wild cages that could move up, causing animals to appear in the middle of the battlefield. The emperor used the Colosseum to entertain the people by holding free competitions. These competitions were considered a symbol of power and prestige, and a way to increase his popularity among the people. Competitions continued for a whole day, or even several days in a row. The ancient Romans usually started the competitions with humorous shows and showing strange animals, and finally ended with deadly fights between gladiators or gladiators with wild animals. These fighters were slaves, prisoners of war, or convicted traitors. Of course, sometimes free Romans and even emperors participated in these competitions. In the festival of this huge amphitheater that was opened, it lasted for 100 days. More than 5,000 wild animals were killed. One of the statistics of the Colosseum deaths is related to the festival that was held in the year 240 AD. For this festival, the number of deaths is as follows: 2,000 gladiators, 70 lions, 40 wild horses, 30 elephants, 30 cheetahs, 20 donkeys, wild, 19 giraffes, 10 reindeer, 10 hyenas, 10 tigers, 1 hippopotamus, and 1 rhinoceros. The Colosseum is used for gladiator fights, animal hunting, reenactment of famous battles and dramas based on old myths, and has provided entertainment for the spectators, emperors, and nobles. One of the notable points of this ancient amphitheater is that all Roman people could come here for free to watch the programs. Also, food and snacks were given to the audience during the program. Gladiatorial wars were outlawed by the Christian Empire of Honorius in 407, and fighting with wild animals was also banned in 523, and this area was no longer used. He banned gladiators because of a monk named Telemachus. Telemachus is the only Colosseum martyr who has evidence of his death. This amphitheater has been destroyed many times due to volcanoes and earthquakes, and it was continuously restored until the end of the 5th century, but it was not repaired for a short time in 523 after it was closed. According to some medieval legends, the Colosseum is the gateway to the world of the dead, where the dead souls wander in search of eternal peace because they died in a violent and untimely way. Another legend says that many plants from the land These plants have been transplanted around the Colosseum. These plants were brought along with the shoes of passers-by or the paws of animals that were killed by evil emperors. Comment your opinion about this place. Sant'Angelo. The Castle of Sant'Angelo is the castle where Hadrian's ashes are kept, and a great treasure is hidden in it, from which these precious treasures can never be removed. Sant'Angelo's castle in Rome is one of the hundreds of tourist attractions in Rome in Italy, which is also known as Hadrian's tomb, which has gone through many events until it has become a present-day form. Sant'Angelo Castle, or Castel Sant'Angelo, formerly known as Hadrian's tomb, is a circular and cylindrical building located on the banks of the Tiber River in the northwest of the historic center of Rome in Italy. Hadrianus, the Emperor of Rome, started the construction of a tomb for himself and his family in Rome in 135 AD, which was completed 4 years later by his adopted son and successor Lucius Aelius in 139. Hadrian's ashes were placed in a jar in this tomb after his death in 138. Also, the ashes of several other emperors were placed in this tomb. In 270 AD, after Aurelian, the other emperor of Rome, built a wall around the city, he turned this tomb into a military fortress. The castle of Sant'Angelo was named because the plague swept Rome at the end of the 6th century AD, and the severity of the disease reached such a level that thousands of people were infected and the corpses of people were lying in the corners of the streets. The people and Pope Gregory I, also known as Gregory the Great, gathered together to ask God to spare the survivors and have mercy on them. When the Pope looked up, he saw a bright image of the Archangel Michael lowering his sword and puts it in the sheath. This story was interpreted in such a way that God has shown them knowledge and the plague will end soon. Above the Sant'Angelo castle, there is a large statue in the shape of an angel, which was added to the castle during the Renaissance. This angel statue is in honor of the legend from which the name of the castle is derived. The Castle of Sant'Angelo is divided into 5 floors, which are connected by spiral staircases. If you go to the upper parts of the castle, you can find various rooms that are sometimes used as accommodation for the Pope. Each of these walls are decorated with different wall paintings from the Renaissance period. On the upper floor of the castle, there is a very large terrace where you can stand on it and take wonderful photos of the city. At that time, it was so difficult to break into the castle of Sant'Angelo that the popes decided to build a room to store their wealth called the treasure room, and put a very large chest in it that was bigger than the entrance door of the room so that thieves could not take the whole chest, move and take out of the room. During the Renaissance, Michelangelo gave a special effect to the apartments for the popes with his beautiful designs, and Bernini also created changes in the bridge that connected the castle to the surrounding area so that passers-by had a way to cross the Tiber River other than crossing the bridge. If they don't have Sant'Angelo, the sculptures on this bridge are among Bernini's outstanding works in Rome. This castle is spectacular during the day, but its beauty multiplies at night. If you walk along the Tiber River at night, you will eventually reach a bridge with Bernini's angels on both sides, and their white facade shines in the dark. At the end of this part, there is a large stone building of Sant'Angelo's castle, on which the heads of the angels are perched, and it looks like they are going to fly from the top of this building. Popes have also used this castle as a prison. For example, Giordano Bruno was imprisoned there for 6 years. Another prisoner was a famous sculptor and goldsmith. Executions were also carried out in a small inner courtyard of the castle. Most of the contents and decoration of Hadrian's tomb were destroyed during the use of Sant'Angelo Castle as a military fortress in 401 AD and the events that followed. A trip to this historical and beautiful place can be very attractive and exciting. Rome is a unique and beautiful city, and by walking in this city, you can see the beautiful buildings and structures of Rome. Watch this spectacular city with all the historical and memorable monuments and comment your opinion about this place.